We're just waiting for one commissioner before we get going, so please bear with us. Thank you. More light on the subject here. That's better.
George, it's Amy St. Ange.
Yes, Amy.
Did you happen to notice Fran Morano is in the meeting? I see Fran, Diane, and Barb, and then yourself. Does that give you enough for a quorum?
I think we've got. I think we do now. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, let's go with what we have. We've got 3. All right. All right, I think we've got enough to commence our meeting, so let's do so. Good evening, citizens. It's now 7 p.m., or actually it's 7:03 p.m. The date's November 11th, 2020. We're commencing the monthly meeting of the Town of Thompson and the Wetlands Commission. My name is George O'Neill, and I'm the chair of this commission. Before we get into the meeting itself, I want to point out that this is a web-based meeting using Zoom, and we are operating under the following procedures. This is being audio recorded. The session is being audio recorded. In addition, we are recording the video of the proceeding. To ensure the sound quality, the default rule for this meeting will be that everyone will remain on mute. Commissioners and staff will generally remain on mute, except when speaking or voting, and will generally be keeping video of themselves on throughout the meeting. Applicants and members of the public should feel free to leave your video on or off. However, you will be asked to turn on your video when speaking. I guess it's often said that a picture tells 1,000 words and can be useful in conveying your meaning. However, if video is not available for you, you will not be precluded from speaking or providing public testimony. As with an on-site meeting, during a Zoom meeting, all of the normal rules, including stating and now spelling your name and address for the record, will be required, so we know who you are. If you're speaking at this meeting and have an exhibit to submit to the commission, which was not distributed in advance of the meeting, with the rest of the materials, please indicate that you wish to submit an exhibit. You will need to hold it up to the camera so that the commission and other members of the public may review it. In addition, you'll be required to email the exhibit or take a photograph of it and email it to the Wetlands office at wetlands@thompsonct.org, which will go to Marla, who will include it in the permanent records of the commission. Members of the public may only speak during designated citizens' comments or on agenda items. If a member of the public speaks outside of the citizens' comments section and creates a audio or video disruption, they may be manually ejected from the meeting upon recommendation of the staff or chair. So I think I've covered all the key points. And so at this point, at this stage, let's commence with the meeting. So I'm calling the meeting to order. And roll call. And commissioners, please acknowledge your presence if you would. I see Barbara Roach.
Diane Chapin, Commissioner.
Diane. Anyone else? I have Diane. I see Barbara. George O'Neill, Chair.
Fran Morano, Commissioner.
Fran Morano, Commissioner. Are there any others other than our alternates? Hearing none. I recognize and see that we have Commissioner Roach, Barbara Roach, I'm going to appoint you as alternate for this meeting. So now we have 4. Next item would be action on minutes of previous meeting, minutes of October 13th, 2020. Any comments, amendments, or changes? The minutes were posted and copies were circulated to the members of the commission.
Barbara Roach speaking. I reviewed the minutes and see no changes.
Thank you, Barbara. Fran? Or
They
Diane?
look good. They look good.
All right, hearing no objections, the minutes will stand as recorded. Next agenda item is D, citizens' comments on agenda items. Do we have any citizens' comments? I'll give the citizens a few moments. And while we're doing that, I'm going to share my screen so we can look at the agenda together. Okay, I guess this is always disabled, Amy, when I do this.
Sorry, George, let me fix that for you.
No worries. I guess it's the default probably.
Yeah. Oh, no, it should say, you should be able to share. It says one participant can share at a time. Let
Okay.
me just see if, oh, wait, there we go.
Let me try it again.
Okay,
Ah,
try it again. It
There
should
we
be good
go.
now.
I've got it. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Just bear with us here. Logistics, I wish I was more adept at this, but can everyone see the agenda item? The list should be agenda D. Okay, yes, I see nods. Thank you. Hearing no comments from citizens, I'm going to move on through the agenda. Okay, first item here is old applications. First old application is Hallett, WAA 20009, Hallett T. Merrick, 0 Plum Road, Assessors Map 85, Block 52, Lot 12, construction of a single-family home, septic system and portion of home proposed in a 100-foot upland review area, stamped received on 4/13/2020, under review pending receipt of additional information. Marla, where do we stand on the additional items?
Marla Butts speaking. We are still awaiting the Northeast District Department of Health's approval of the septic design and the revised plans for that septic design.
I see. So we
So
haven't
no
received,
action at this time.
no further action. All right. Moving on to the next item. Agenda item 2, IWA 20011, James Jasmine, 518 Brady Hill Road, Assessors Map 143, Block 16, Lot 37, after the fact application for partial demolition of retaining wall and construction of new retaining wall and aquatic reservoir. Stamped received on 5/6/2020, statutorily received on 5/14/2020. Any movement on this item?
Marla Butts speaking. I've included the original drawings so that you can see what the wall looked like and where it extended. I also included a letter that I had received electronically from Jamie Boucher. And Mr. Boucher was claiming that the Green Acres Association owned the boat launch located to the north of Mr. Jasmine's property, and they didn't have any objection to the work that he said was done on the association's property. However, I have done a memo for your consideration, and I think the easiest thing is just to read it to you. It's dated yesterday. Regarding those portions of the retaining wall that exist on the land not owned by James Jasmine, I have not received any response to my repeated requests for position on the wall from the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. Additionally, on June 9th, 2020, I received an email from Mr. Jasmine containing a scan of a letter from a Jamie Boucher as president of the Green Acres Association, who claimed the association owned the land adjacent to the Jasmine property, upon which a small portion of the unauthorized wall was constructed, and had no objection to the wall as constructed. Unfortunately, I have been unable to verify that Green Acres Association has title to the property in question. Consequently, I recommend the commission render a decision on the application as follows. Move to conditionally approve application IWA 2011 by James Jasmine for regulated activities as shown in plans entitled Retaining Wall as built prepared for James and Barbara Jasmine, 518 Brandy Hill Road, Thompson, Connecticut, prepared by, that should say J and D, not J and J, Civil Engineers LLC, dated May 4th, 2020, revised 2020-07-14 for all activities located on his property, and to deny any portion of the wall and associated fill that does not exist on Mr. Jasmine's property on the basis that Mr. Jasmine has failed to show that he has any rights to maintain those portions of the wall and the associated fill. And then I further recommend the commission take no further action on this matter as long as no new regulated activities occur as a result of Mr. Jasmine's activities. I made this recommendation for such a motion of partial denial and partial approval because the issue of ownership cannot be resolved or has not been resolved. And it is my opinion that the commission should not be taking a position when there are property rights in question, an affirmative position when there are property rights. I do not see there any advantage at this point of attempting to require the removal of the wall that extends beyond Mr. Jasmine's property. However, I don't think it should be authorized either. And that's why I've given you the language for a motion if you so choose.
Thank you. So
I'll-
let's recap that a bit because that's a lot of text. So what you're saying, if I understand you correctly, is that we're not going to approve or disapprove it. We're making them responsible for anything they've done. And any consequences that result from it are on Mr. Jasmine. Or did I miss something?
That's not quite right. You would be denying anything that was not on Mr. Jasmine's property.
Right.
You would not be granting approval for anything that's not on his property, but you would be granting approval for everything on his property. That includes the fill that he might have placed on his property that is behind the new wall, as well as the proposed deck that he has on the front of towards the street side of his house, away from the lake,
Right.
which is, he does not have a building permit for that deck, and that's being held up pending the outcome of this application.
All right. So he's liable for anything outside of his property line. You're not disapproving anything within the property line then?
Correct.
Right, so I think if we just read it exactly the way you had written it, correct, Marla?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to conditionally approve it's Diane Chapin, by the way. I'm gonna make a motion to conditionally approve application IWA 20011 by James Jasmine for regulated activities shown in plans entitled Retaining Wall as Built, prepared for James and Barbara Jasmine, 518 Brandy Hill Road, Thompson, Connecticut, prepared by J&D Civil Engineers LLC, dated May 4th, 2020, revised 2020-07-14 for all activities located on his property, and to deny any portion of the wall and associated fill that does not exist on Mr. Jasmine's property on the basis that Mr. Jasmine has failed to show that he has any rights to maintain those portions of the wall and associated fill.
All right, motion's been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's made in second to conditionally approve this. Any discussion? Any comments? All right, I think we have an understanding of this. As the motion is made and seconded, I move it for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? I vote aye as well. So no opposition. The motion is passed as drafted by the wetlands agent. Moving on to the next item. We have item 3, WAA 20031 Madison Avenue Investments LLC, 0 Madison Avenue, as Assessors Map 103, Block 31, Lot 6K. Subdivision Lot 11, driveway and grading for a new single-family home, stamped received on 8/3/2020, under review.
Marla Butts speaking. Yesterday, I received a hard copy of a letter from professional engineer Norm Tybo stating that they have surveyed the driveway installation in the area of question and have determined that the need for cross culverts between the two wetlands that the driveway passes between are not needed, although the area is relatively flat. Spot elevations show that on the and he sent it a plan, and on the attached plan clearly shows that the gradient radially flows away from the driveway and there is no hydraulic connection between the wetlands. And they said, based upon this information, they do not see the need for cross culverts for this driveway. And so all that I am looking for at this point is to get an aerial extent of what the area of disturbance is. And so once I get that from the applicant's engineer, I will be drafting an approval for this
Okay.
application.
So there's no further action on our part then? Unless
Correct.
we have, commissioners have any comments or objections? All right, hearing none, moving on to the next item. WAA 20033 Madison Avenue Investments LLC, Madison Avenue, Assessors Map 103, Block 31, Lot 6R, Subdivision Lot 18. Septic system from a new single-family home, stamped received 8/12/2020, under review.
Marla Butts speaking. Yesterday, I received a plan called Improvement Location Survey showing as-built drainage over Lot 18 prepared for Madison Avenue Investments. This is what I'd asked for regarding the stormwater management basin. I also asked for verification that the easement for that stormwater system has been approved by the town. And I need to check through the town, other town offices to ensure that the language on the easement is in fact accepted already. If that is the case, then I would be approving this application after I review the site plan of the as-built.
So we're waiting for further information. Okay, no further
Waiting for
action.
me to review. I need
Review.
to review the information they submitted yesterday.
All right, so we need to review the information you received. So you'll get the review it and make a determination. And if there's an issue, you'll let us know next meeting.
Correct.
All right, next item. WAA 20038 Joseph Kelly, 0 Lowell Davis Road, Assessors Map 120, Block 30, Lot 3A, grading and well in 100-foot upland review area for new single-family home, stamp received 10/5/2020, approved 10/22/2020. Legal notice published 11/6/2020, appeal period ends 11/21/2020.
Marla Butts speaking. You saw the plans on this last meeting and it's just waiting for the end of the appeal period.
Okay. So at this point, no further action.
Correct.
Next item. WAA 20040 Laura Hauser, 31 Center Street, Assessors Map 116, Block 30, Lot 3A. Reconstruction of a single-family home in 100-foot upland review area for Little Pond, stamped received by the town clerk on 9/18/2020 and 10/5/2020 by the Wetlands Office, under review.
Marla Butts speaking. I'm still waiting for the Northeast District Department of Health's approval on the septic. And I believe that there was a submission made regarding the natural diversity database. But I don't think that's critical because I think it's an in-water species, but it's pending the Northeast District Department of Health's septic approval.
Okay,
So there's no
fine.
action required by you at this time.
No action. Moving on to the next item. IWA 20041 Jerry T. Molino, 523 and 521 Brady Hill Road, Assessors Map 143, Block 17, Lots 4 and 3. demolish and reconstruct retaining walls, reconstruction of a single-family home in 100-foot upland review area for Little Pond. Stamped received on 10/7/2020, revised plans received on 10/9/2020.
Marla Butts speaking. You will see in the Zoom documents, I've included the drawings again. This was accepted at last month's meeting, and it was awaiting a response from the Natural Diversity Database, which has been received. It's included in the packet. And I also included the photograph that was supplied by Daniel Blanchette showing the two walls. The wall that was next or behind the shed, that's the one that forces it into an individual permit, and then the other shorter wall that's located in the photograph that you see on page 16 of the Zoom documents. At this juncture, I have no objection to the issuance of a permit. I think it's an appropriate application.
Okay, so you're recommending issuance of a permit. So on our,
Correct.
do we have to, does that requires a vote on our part?
Correct.
All right, do I have a motion to approve this?
Barbara Roach speaking. I think we just still need to correct this, not Little Pond. Excuse me, it's Aquatic. Excuse me.
Is there a typo in there?
Let me look. Yes, it is. It's still wrong. I picked it up from the last month's Zoom meetings and I did not apparently change it. So yes, it is on Aquatic Reservoir, not Little Pond. So if you do a motion, make sure you say Aquatic Reservoir.
Okay, recognizing that it's Aquatic Reservoir and not Little Pond, do we have a motion?
Fran Morano here. I'll make a motion to approve IWA 20041 of Jerry T. Milano, 523, 521 Brandy Hill Road, Assessors Map 143, Block 17, lots 4 and 3, to demolish and reconstruct retaining walls, reconstruction of a single-family home in the 100-foot upland review area for Aquatic Reservoir.
That unfortunately, the reconstruction of a single family home in the 100-foot up review area is not appropriate to this site. It's only the reconstruction of the retaining walls.
So we strike out that. All right.
Okay, so we have to redact it.
Yeah, redact the reconstruction of the single-family home.
Just do the retaining wall.
It's just for the retaining wall. Demolish and reconstruct retaining walls.
All right. So we have a motion to allow the application modified for the retaining wall, and it has to be aquatic. Like, so that's the motion. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Chapin, I'll second it.
Okay, motion second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion. I have a vote. Commissioners, what say you?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I also vote aye, so it's unanimous. No objections. The application is approved as modified, limiting the scope and the area as outlined and discussed. All right, moving on to the next item, which is WAA 20043, Gary Rawson, 0 Loggy Road, Assessors Map 141, Block 17, Lot E. Construction of a new single-family home in the 100-foot upland review area for Aquatic Reservoir, stamped received on 10/29/2020, which is under review. I see we have
Marla Butts speaking.
diagrams here.
I sent a letter to Gary Rawson on November 2nd, requesting a copy of the Northeast District Department of Health's approval of the septic design, and that given the property is located in a natural diversity database area of concern, to submit a review request to the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection and forward a copy of their response. And I gave him instructions of how to do that from the internet. I have since received a phone call from Mr. Rawson. He does not yet have the approval from NDDH, but he has submitted the request to the Natural Diversity Database for review. So there will be no action on this by me until I receive those two documents.
Okay, I see there's a lot of information that came along with this.
You're on the next
I'm
application.
in the wrong application. Okay, that's where I'm off site. Okay, this is the one you had, Loggy Road. So at this point, we're going to stand awaiting the additional information.
Correct.
All right. Moving on to the next item, it's the IWA 20044, Town Thompson, West Thompson Road, Assessors Maps 48 and 50, blocks 104 and 103, respectively, no lot number. Replace existing culvert carrying Wheaton Brook under West Thompson Road, stamped received on 11/2/2020 to be received by statute 11/10/2020. What do we have here?
Marla Butt speaking. This application is by the town of Thompson to replace the existing culvert carrying Wheaton's Brook under West Thompson Road, and I believe someone from J&D is here. I see Daniel on the screen, but I think it was Janet that submitted the application.
So do we have
Is she
someone
still
from
here?
J&D?
Yes, Janet is here. I don't know if I'm unmuted.
You're speaking, we hear you.
Good evening. I'm Janet Blanchett from J&D Civil Engineers, working for the town of Thompson. I think, yeah, George has the location map up. Most of you are probably familiar with West Thompson Road since it is a collector road in town. And so you're aware of the extreme kind of pinch point that's apparent when you cross that culvert over Wheaton Brook. And it's even more apparent since the town repaved the road the summer before last. Basically it's a dangerous culvert because it's too narrow. It was also inspected in 2016 with like a DOT funded inspection, and they found it to be undersized. So the basic premise is to replace it with a box culvert that is has about twice the opening of the existing box culvert, but it will be a bottomless culvert because it's going to be oversized by a foot in height. And so the bottom foot would be filled with native substrate to replicate the stream channel. These plans were submitted to the DEEP's fishery division, and they reviewed it and approved this approach and made specific recommendations on shaping a low flow channel within the culvert bottom, which these plans reflect. It's a pretty long set of plans. The
Yeah.
town expects to put it out to bid next. Well, it would hopefully go out to bid this winter in preparation for construction next summer during the driest time of the year. And, before school opens, so before the Woodstock Fair, before the school buses. So that's what the town is hoping to do.
Seems like we have a lot of documents here.
Marla Butt speaking. I did not include the entire set of drawings that I received from J&D. What I did include were those that would be most useful to the commission. The layout of the existing culvert, which is found on Zoom document page 22, along with, and George, if you shrink down your view a little bit, it might be helpful. And then the next page on 23 is what the proposed box culvert would look like. And then on page 24 are cross sections of the road profile. Excuse me, that's the road profile showing the culvert. And then the remaining pages are more details of how the road is constructed, how the culvert would be constructed. And a lot of detail in there that you can look at your leisure, because at this juncture, the community, since it is an actual individual permit application, you're only receiving the application at this meeting. You cannot render a decision before next meeting. And so this is just basically an acceptance of the application.
Okay, thank you for that. Commissioners,
Correct me,
go ahead. Who's that?
I was going to say that Janet, you might want to explain to them what the requirements that fisheries had for the culvert, what they wanted, the design.
The fisheries, well, they want a culvert that's of a certain width because they wanted to replicate the existing stream channel. So we made several measurements downstream to verify an average width of the stream. They also, they don't want a hard bottom, concrete or anything. They want natural stream material. So when there's excavation like that stream substrate will be like excavated and put to the side. And after the culvert is installed, that will be shaped in the bottom of the culvert. And the culvert is going to be 12 feet wide, but there'll be like a 4-foot channel shaped in. So for low flows, there'll still be a little bit of water in there, and that helps the fish, migrate upstream. There it is right there. Perfect. George, you can see the cross section of the culvert and the 4-foot low flow channel in the center. So, that's to make sure that there's a small depth of water for fish.
So there's a regular annual flow of water on this stream?
Usually, it dries up in the summer, but not as much as this summer. This was extreme, but it is a perennial stream.
Excellent.
Well,
questions?
Marla Butt speaking. Upstream in Bull Hill, there are several large beaver dams or beaver impoundments that assist in supplying water to this system, holding back the flows from storm events and then releasing it slowly, so that this stream channel, even though it probably doesn't have a large enough watershed to maintain some permanent flow in some years, the beaver activity upstream is probably have assisted in maintaining some kind of flow in the stream during more normal years or wetter years.
So if I could clarify that, then Wheaton Brook is south of where the town has property up there, the soccer fields up in that area?
Correct.
Okay. And these are the beaver dams or the impoundments. I can see those marked on your plan.
Yes, it's about the size of the drainage area is just slightly under 1 square mile. So, it's a decent drainage area.
Okay. All right, so we've received the application for the town. Commissioners, questions or comments? Okay.
I have one comment that perhaps Janet can speak to, because we spoke of this earlier, is a water handling plan for installing the culvert. Since it does have stream flows, it's my understanding that the installation of these culverts would be during low flow period of time, July, August of next year, say, but that there are going to be some provisions for possible bypassing flows. Depending on the amount of flow, the contractor could use several different means of bypassing the water. I think one of them you spoke of might be a bypass culvert, a small bypass culvert to maintain flow. Another might be pumping around the site. Am I correct on this, Janet? I think we had mentioned.
Yes, and there's a potential that it will be both. It's a little bit similar to what the town did when the Sand Dam Road culvert was replaced last summer, where a temporary cofferdam will be put in, upstream of the work area, and then the flow will be pumped from the stream over the road to a siltation, through a siltation bag, and then it will filter out downstream. But in the event that there's a mechanical failure with the pump or an extra large storm event, then there's, we might, depending on the year, require the contractor to have a pipe too, as well.
Well, sounds like an extraordinary amount of effort here to preserve the Wheaton Brook, but certainly well thought out. Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, I guess at this point, we're waiting for additional information.
No, not at this time. You just cannot render a decision and for 30 days.
All right. I guess
According
we'll
to
wait
the
until next
statute.
month. Next month, we'll deal with it. All right, thank you. No further comments. Let's move on to the next application. Get past all these diagrams. All right. WAA 20045, James Fogarty, 0 Brickyard Road, Assessors Map 38, Block 87, Lot 6. Construction of a driveway in the 100-foot upland review area for a new single-family home, stamped received by the town clerk on 11/3/2020, which is under review.
Marla
do
Butt
have some
speaking.
diagrams.
If you look, yes, if you look at the diagram, the only regulated activity is a modification of, there is a cart path that goes through the property. And there is only a small portion that they're going to reconstruct or construct to build the home. The home is not in the upland review area, nor is the septic system. So the only work that's involved here is the driveway. And you can see the area of disturbance is identified by a dash dot line that goes around, so you can see the extent of disturbance.
This the area?
That's the area that's subject to regulation.
Okay.
A little bit farther to the east. And so what I was waiting for is the application came in without the signature of the owner. And the owner has since supplied me with his signature. So I expect to be granting or issuing an approval, wetlands agent approval for this within the next week.
Great. Commissioners, questions, comments? All right. Hearing none, I'll move on to the next item. Okay, we're already through all those items, and we're on to applications received after agenda was published. All right,
Marla Butt speaking, there were none.
none. All right, thank you. So moving on to the next agenda item. Violations and pending enforcement actions. We have cease and restore order violation 20003, Scott Josie, 637 East Thompson Road, Assessors Map 154, Block 5, Lot 14. Filling of wetlands and work within 100-foot upland review area, issued 3/5/2020. Hearing and decision 3/10/2020. Soil scientist report submitted on 5/10/2020, approved. And to be work completed by 9/15/2020.
Marla Butt speaking. The next page down on page 35 of the Zoom documents is a printout of email thread between myself and the soil scientist Roger Gibson. I had inspected the site and took some photographs on the beginning of October. And then I sent those photographs to Mr. Gibson to see if this was in keeping with what he believed should have been on site. Since there weren't any actual site plans for this, I wanted to make sure that what was there was in accordance with what he expected to have done. And he wrote me back, and that's what's in the top of the thread. He said, looks like the stone across the path filled the crossing. The design was for a 12-inch deep swale filled with 6 inches depth compacted stone on fabric. This would permit overland flow during high flows along the minor drainage through stone pour areas. And he was going to talk to Scott to suggest that the removal of some of the stones in this area to permit the managed overflow discharge from the path. So since the work is not completed as intended by Mr. Gibson, I am not making any recommendations to have this order certified as being completed. It is not. And so we expect to be in contact with Mr. Josie to find out what his timetable is to get this action, this work done to reduce the stone level that was in the cross, in the roadway that was there, the cart path.
All right, so you're waiting additional
So at this
information from Mr.
juncture, you have to
Josie?
wait. Correct, correct.
Commissioners, questions, comments? Then we had Mr. Josie in a year ago, it feels like. So no further action pending his response. Is that your recommendation?
Correct. Yes.
All right. I see no reason to not proceed. There's no action required by us other than to append that information. So let's see what he has to say. Commissioners, any comments, or if not, we can proceed. Okay. Then move on to the next item. Okay. Violation 20013, Adrienne Martin and Joseph Fagan, 208 Linehouse Road, Assessors Map 36, Lot 70, Lot 4, clear cutting of trees and earth moving work in 100-foot upland review area. Notice of violation issued on 5/14/2020. 7/14/2020, granted extension to 10/1/2020 for completion of work. So is it complete?
When last I saw the property, which was yesterday, there had been some grading activities occurring, but I did not walk on his property. And so I actually need to touch base with him to actually walk across his property and to see what work he actually completed. He had said it after last month's meeting that he was getting a contractor. He needed to get a piece of equipment to come in to move the material along the wetlands edge, and that he was going to do it in the next following week. And that's why I drove by yesterday and I couldn't tell if the work was done or not. So I'm going to need to look into this further.
All right, so you're recommending just further review on your part until you determine
Correct.
what's been done. I see. Commissioners, any comments or notes? All right, then proceed to ascertain the extent of work, and time goes on here. We're going to run out of time to do this because the winter's going to foreclose on us. But all right, moving on to the next violation. We have violation 2003, Jennifer Burlingame and Robert Lemieux Jr., 480 Aquatic Town Farm Road, Assessors Map 158, Block 20, Lot 8K, filling, earth moving within 100-foot upland review area and possibly within delineated wetlands. Notice of violation issued on 8/6/2020 to cease any further earth moving work, and by August 20th, 2020, provide an explanation for the earth moving work and the reason why an approval was not sought prior to the initiation of work within the 100 feet of delineated wetlands. Do we get a response on this?
When I had, before I had gone away on vacation in September, I had emailed Jennifer Burlingame and suggested that that I go out to the site and view it and take some measurements when I returned, and that I would contact her when I returned. And I did send her an email when I returned, and because she had said it had sounded good, that would be a good course of action before vacation. When I returned, I did send her an email and asking, to set up a time and date, and I never got any response back. So I will need to contact her again.
What's your recommendation in this case?
No action at this time. I need to try to see if I can get a response, because she seemed to be willing back at the end of in September, before I went away on vacation, willing to let me on her property to take those measurements, but I haven't heard anything since.
Right. If I recall correctly,
So I've made it.
this was a case where it was posited that the work had been done prior to their ownership of the property. by former owner?
What her response was that they did not do any filling work, that the area that I had observed that looked like it had been disturbed or filled was actually clearing away of barberries and other vegetation that had hidden the embankment, and that she had claimed that there had been a UPS or a FedEx truck that had slipped off the edge of it because it couldn't see that because all the vegetation was there and it had backed up onto it. I'm not convinced that there wasn't any filling. That's why I wanted to take the measurements, and they seem to be willing to let, they seem to be in their mind sure that they had not done any filling. And so I just wanted to verify that.
All right, then your recommendations up for their action. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the final item here. The violation 20042, Mark Baird, 1227 Thompson Road, Assessors Map 116, Block 24, Lot 10. Revetment construction exceeds scope of work authorized by permit IWA 20022. NOV issued on 10/29/2020.
On page 39 of the Zoom documents is a copy of my notice of violation that I sent to Mark Baird. And below that on page 40 is a picture that I took of the revetment at its northern corner. You might want to shrink that screen a little bit.
They're doing it. I have the
okay.
northern corner. 40, slide 40.
And then if you go to 41, you can better see the curve, the northern end of the revetment.
So we have 41 up now. 41
and
of
then
76.
there was- Yep. And then the next picture on 42 is taken showing the southern end of the revetment, which has not been completed at this time. And you can see the turbidity curtain in place. You can see the stone has been started to be placed there. And if you scroll to the next picture, which is on page 43, you can see how the revetment is being constructed with the stone on the backside and the coming up and its first two courses of stone. On page 44 are my field notes of what I noted the difference in what the approved drawings showed and what I saw. So at the northern end of the revetment, which in the original drawing terminated abruptly, it is actually built and heads towards the embankment towards Route 193, and it's filled behind it.
Over here?
Correct. Moving south on the revetment, it was steeper than 2 to 1, which means for every 2 foot horizontal, you go 1 foot up, and it looked closer to 1 to 1. It wasn't straight up and down, but it was a lot steeper than 2 to 1. Heading farther south, there was a gap in the revetment construction, and that was reportedly for some stairs that did not show on the original drawings. And then in yellow, I've identified the proximate location of the turbidity curtain as of the photos that you just looked at, those that were taken on October 27th and 28th. And then the next page, 45, is a as-built drawing that I received on the 9th, yesterday. And I believe Daniel Blanchette, he was here. I don't know if he still is. It was submitted, and let's see who it's signed by.
Yes, he's here. I see
Dennis
him.
Blanchette.
Mr. Blanchette, are you present?
Yes, I am. Yep.
For the record, if you could introduce yourself, if you have comments on this, that'd be appreciated.
Yes, yeah, my name is Daniel Blanchett. I'm a licensed engineer in the state of Connecticut, and I've been working with the owner, Mark Bear, for this project. I think around October 20th, I first kind of heard that some changes had been made, some construction was ongoing that wasn't quite identical to my site plan. So on October 22nd, I made a trip to the site and I did an as-built survey of the wall that had been built at that time. And so there you can see in kind of the lighter gray was the original design location of the revetment. And then the larger circles, the heavier line on the left, that's the location of the boulder retaining wall. Correct, yep.
Okay. Steps are here.
I can see it seems like construction maybe has been ongoing. It looked like Marla's sketch showed it continuing quite a bit further than from when I had located it on the 22nd. The wall is quite a bit steeper than we had originally shown on our site plan. It's more of a, it's not quite vertical, but it is closer to a retaining wall than a revetment.
Must be in the earlier exhibit, right? Do you have a photo of the ratio of the 1-to-1 versus 1-to-2, Marla?
Yeah, wait a second. Let's see if I
Is
have.
this it here?
If you go to
No,
my
no,
as-built drawing, had a cross section near the bottom that might be helpful.
Okay, let
No.
me find-
There you go.
I can
yep.
show you.
So-
I can show you a picture that was taken. Let's see, this would have been on the 10th of November. Can you see that?
You are you putting it up on your screen or are you pointing me to a slide?
Yes, I am.
I don't see it.
It's
You
on
don't
my
have to,
screen.
not yet. At least I don't see it yet.
I can see it.
Let me look. Oh, well. Can the other commissioners, Barb, can you see it?
I cannot, George, no.
Yeah, I can't either. Interesting.
No,
Is Marla trying to share her screen, share her
Maybe-
desktop?
Maybe
No,
that's what
Mark-
it is.
Marla's
you're-
holding up an image to the
Oh,
camera.
to the
Yeah, I
camera.
see it. I see it.
Okay, let me look for
It's Diane
Marla.
Chapin. Yeah, you gotta look for
there it is.
Marla.
All right, I see it now.
participants. Yeah,
Okay, I see it now. Thank you.
I still don't see
Okay.
it, George. I see your screen.
Yeah, I think you have to scroll down. You have to scroll down where you have the participants, Barb. The participant, which are captioned in the side or margins, depending on how your show grid view or whether you have a however you want to view it. That's where it is. I see Marla's screen now. You have to
All right,
slide.
I have several other. I
There
have
it is
several
there.
other pictures that were taken very recently. So here's another picture that was taken, and it looks like the revetment is actually in the water. Looks like it might have been built a little farther out than what was the actual property line. It's not clear to me. And of course, Daniel hasn't been out there for that. Here's a picture of where the wall opened up to have the potential stairs.
Okay.
You can see that.
Yeah.
And then the last one, and this photo was reportedly taken on November 8th. And I received it from the Little Pond Lake Association. Sorry, it's getting a shiny thing. But if you look at it, it looks like the revetment is actually built in, the end of it is built into the water. You see where the existing water is in the background of the photograph, and then you see the revetment here.
I see it, yeah. Trying to correlate that
So
buffer with the photo I have up there now. Doesn't quite track. Oh, it does sort of. All right.
that's located near where the end of the turbidity curtain is. Okay, so in response to the, I can send these photographs to you if you want to see them, or put them on for the next Zoom meeting. But if you scroll down to page, okay, where are we?
Well, I'm at 44 at the moment.
Got to go to page 46. And Mr. Bear did supply a response,
Right.
and that is in the Zoom documents. And
Okay, I
you
have that
can
up.
read.
You can read it.
Do you want me to read it for you, or do you guys want to read it on your
Perhaps
own?
from the record, I think you want to hit the highlights, maybe. The audio record.
Okay. Well, I don't want to put words into Mr. Bear's mouth. So he states that in my letter of 8/21/20 to Daniel Blanchette, I stated, Mr. Wall described the construction of the revetment. Mr. Wall, the contractor, has installed the wall revetment exactly as explained to you on this date. There is no mention of any question or concerns as to its construction in your letter. The revetment was placed per the contractor at the water's edge and not beyond it. In emails to Daniel Blanchette of 8/17/20 and 8/18/20, a set of stairs was mentioned. Apparently this was overlooked when the plans were drawn up and inadvertently left out. This was a mistake, but something that was definitely mentioned prior to the construction of the revetment. Pat Wall also mentioned the stairs and said he spoke to Daniel about them. Before its construction, pictures were sent to the engineer to give him some idea of what the contractor had in mind. Although these could not be an exact representation, the actual appearance of the revetment had to change a little due to the size and shape of the huge rocks being used in its construction. You and the committee saw the size and shape of many of these rocks in the pictures presented at some of the wetlands meetings and on your site inspections. These stones had to be fit together much like a puzzle to ensure both stability and functionality of the revetment. The contractor, Pat Wall, has added extra stones in the base of the revetment from the original 6 inches to 2 feet to improve the strength, both the strength and function of the wall in order to protect the pond. Daniel Blanchette visited the site and stated to me that the revetment looked good and would function very well. When you visited the site on October 28th, 2020 with Mr. Aubert, you stated to Pat Wall, per Mr. Wall, that the revetment looked good, but that it was not exactly as on the plan stated. Sometimes things have to be altered a bit in order to make them better for everyone concerned. You did have a conversation with Daniel Blanchette after this meeting and appeared to have no problems with him resubmitting new corrections to the existing plan submitted. To show the changes that were necessary to construct a functional and beautiful revetment, we have tried to be very cooperative in this project and would appreciate your assistance. Marla, I would appreciate it if you are going to have a site inspection, which I welcome you to do, you inform me of the date and the time so that I can be there to hear exactly what is said and participate. This will keep us all on the same page and keep my costs down. The turbidity curtain cost me an extra $671. And this is just one small cost that I've had to endure because of the nonsense my neighbors are causing. You will note I did go to the first site inspection and was very easy to get along with, even if my neighbors could not make up their minds as to what they actually wanted done. I have tried my best to be open-minded and cooperate in an attempt to be a good citizen of Thompson. Being disabled, this process has affected me in 3 areas: physically, mentally, and financially. I am only asking to be treated fairly and not subjected to excessive demands and requirements unless you are going to subject everyone to the same demands. As a side note, the Hargers have been attempting to dump debris on both my properties at 1227 and 1232 Thompson Road. They were caught and spoken to by the contractor, Pat Wall. He asked them to cease this illegal activity. Do you or any of the good townspeople have any suggestions how to deal with this? I am enclosing a picture showing a small pile of leaves the Hargers pushed onto my property, which is a straight line following the fence about 2 feet into the back black area of driveway. I'm also sending you the pictures that were sent to the engineer from the contractor, Pat Wall, attempting to give some idea of the appearance of the revetment. Thank you for your cooperation. Sincerely yours, Dr. Mark Baer. Please see the attached. I don't recall that there was an attachment there. There were some photographs that were sent to me by Mr. Baer. I think there were 5 of them showing a revetment that Mr. Wall built. Mr. Wall had showed me these pictures, and I believe they were on Coventry Lake. They showed a wall, a stone wall that was not in the water. It was at the outside of the water's edge, and then there were several walls that were there. I did not post them on the Zoom meeting at this point in time because I didn't feel that they were going to be helpful to you.
Right.
At this juncture, Mr. Baer has responded to the notice of violation. And he has indicated a willingness to cooperate. My concern is that in looking at the pictures, the photographs that I have seen, is that the wall may extend a foot or 2 into the water body. Now, it may be that there was some confusion because we were in extreme drought, that the water level in Little Pond might have been a little lower than when the original survey was done of the property boundary. I don't know. I don't know what the reason would be, but I still think there has to be an as-built of a formal as-built of the entire wall. And that if there is any discrepancies, a discussion as to how those discrepancies would be addressed. I have seen rock walls built like this, and Patrick Wall is doing a good job in his construction work. I don't really think that the wall is going to be unstable. You can tell, but from the photographs, that he has been using plenty of stone behind it to allow for drainage and proper settling of the stones as he places them. But the plan regarding the northern terminus of the wall, the stairs not being shown in the original drawings, and the fact that it looks like the wall extends beyond what was originally Mr. Baer's property line. As we had with Mr. Jasmine, when the property boundary is exceeded upon, it becomes problematic because now the person may be doing work on property of others that the owner has no ability to respond to. So at this juncture, I've issued the notice of violation. I think it's up to you to decide where you want to go with this and what options you might want to take.
So what do you see as the options? Or,
Well, there's a lot of options. First of all, you have some evidence that the work was done that didn't match what was on the drawing. Does that change have a significant environmental effect that you want to have addressed? I don't believe there is a significant environmental effect at this point. However, the wall, the original authorization did state that before any building permit could be issued, that there would have to be an as-built done of the wall. So if the wall is not built according to plan, then you would have to modify the permit to allow for the wall to exist the way it is now. It was an individual permit. I don't know how far out beyond the property line the wall now exists. I don't know if it exists beyond the property line. Until you get that as-built of the wall, you won't know. So perhaps the appropriate thing would be is to have, if the wall is almost finished, once the wall is finished, to get that as-built drawing and then make a determination as to whether or not you want to modify the permit to allow for it to be maintained, or do you want some remediation being done? Frankly, I'm not sure what that would be.
Okay, so we see we have a document here on page 45, and I take it this is not an as-built then?
It's not a complete
Not
as-built,
complete. Okay, so that's partial as-built.
correct.
And the area that's, it seems to be, there's a number of issues. The one is the stairs that weren't noted. Then we have the line here, the property line, which is, looks like it isn't on this as-built extending beyond the property line. Or am I in error in that?
No, you are correct.
Yeah.
That's what it appears.
Then we have this issue here. Now, what happens, what about this piece here? If it's as-built and then engineers evaluated it beyond the scope. So
You may want to think about how you might want to handle it. At this juncture, I threatened permit suspension or revocation only to get a response, and Mr. Baer did respond in an appropriate manner.
sure.
And so at this juncture, I wouldn't suspend or revoke the permit, but the condition on the permit still requires an as-built drawing before any other work can occur. So if he finishes the wall and submits the as-built drawing before the next meeting, then you can determine what course of action you'd want to take following the receipt of that as-built.
Okay. Commissioners, comments or questions, I guess. This is not a nice clear-cut issue. We've had a lot of dialogue on this matter, I think, over the last few months.
Barbara Roach speaking. I looked quite closely at the latest site plan, and there's some other areas of concern also. Besides the granite steps in the revetment, there now has also been an additional set of steps that were not in the original plan at the retaining wall back further into the building site. Also, that retaining wall was marked as a concrete block wall. Now it magically turned into boulders, both retaining walls. So it seems like things are being slipped into this revised site plan that weren't part of the original site plan. Not only the revetment and the additional revetment curvature at the north end of the wall. Now we're finding, or I'm finding, some other issues as well that are appearing on this revised plan that weren't there originally. So I guess my question is, and it seems like deja vu in my mind, we've had issues, the commission has had issues from the beginning with the scope of the project versus what's been done with the project, whether it be the clear cutting of trees and the disruption of the soil back months ago, to the debris in the water. And it just seems it keeps going on and on as we get through this process. More is happening that isn't part of the commission approved project.
Okay, noted. Other commissioners, questions?
Just a
Go ahead, comment.
Just a comment, for Barbara. This is not a revised plan. It's reflective of an as-built. And while there are some notations saying proposed, that would be appropriate for, since this plan only came in hard copy to me yesterday. That would be one of the questions. Is that a plan revision? Is that one that should be coming in? That's different than what is the wall actually doing? Because those other boulder retaining walls can't be built, whatever they are, whatever those retaining walls are, they can't be built until there's an as-built of the retaining wall along the water's edge. So at this juncture, everything's hinging upon what the condition is of that revetment along the water's edge and what condition it is and what the commission takes as its position. No other work is supposed to be occurring in the upland review area until that revetment is completed.
Which is the revetment completed at this point by the site plan? Are they done with the revetment, just waiting for the commission's review now? Do we know?
And Mr. Bear was on the line. Does he know if it was done? It wasn't completed as of the photograph that I got from the Little Pond Improvement Association. It showed that the terminal end near the Hargers property had not been completed. And of course, the stone steps, that opening there, that's not completed either.
Can
I
that
see.
be completed? Can the steps be completed?
It probably shouldn't be until a modification, a request for a modification. So actually, those stone steps will have to come at the end, because I think the concern is have they extended out into the lake to any significant amount? Could be a foot, could be 2 feet. Is that significant? Not sure.
Well, and that
I
said,
suspect not.
I mean, that said, looking at the the boulder wall cross-section DD at the bottom of the latest document from November 6th, it shows DD is, okay, down at the bottom, George, down further, right there on the DD is the correct cross-section on the right. It shows that the revetment wall property line, the rocks, the boulders are well into the pond based on that property line that goes through the rock, stone, boulders, whatever we want to call them.
Right.
How significant will that be in this whole process? When actually then, is this not taking Little Pond property per se by having these boulders extend that far into the pond?
Excuse me, Marla.
Yep.
Looks like we have Mr. Bear. Yes, Mr.
This is,
Bear?
Patrick Wall.
Oh, Mr. Wall, I'm sorry.
Hey, how's it going? Why those pictures look like it's extending into it is because we had to dig back behind the turbidity curtain and put in riprap underneath it. So what you're seeing is water behind the turbidity curtain. So it's given a false presentation of the property line.
But Mr. Wall, I think we're looking at the cross-section that was crafted by your engineer. And if that's the case, then it showed the engineer cross-section shows that it actually is intruding into the pond. Is that correct?
Well, if you
Mr.
look at the
Blanchett?
cross-section from the engineer, the first rock's below water.
Well, it shows high water, actually. At least the one I'm looking at, cross-section
and
DD.
I started that, the boulders, the first boulder lays right on the rock of the shore. That's it. It did not go, I didn't even touch any water with
Right.
the rocks. Why the water's touching those is because I dug down beneath it to get all like the sandy and the clay stuff out, and I put in riprap, a foot of riprap under those rocks. So that's why it looks like they're laying in the water.
I'm looking at the water. We're looking at the property line versus
Well,
the.
if you go down the property line, you look at Mr. Haggard's property line where his retaining wall ends.
Right.
Okay, that's where Mark's property used to go to, right? Extend right to where Mr. Haggard's was, and it's a straight line straight across.
Right, we
It's
aren't
not-
referring to a horizontal though here. I think we're looking at a vertical cross-section of the intrusion from the land into the pond as opposed to along the pond. And I appreciate your comments because you're referring to these photos that show the construction or, creation of this. And you're actually in it, I guess.
Well,
walking along the
there's nothing
fence.
has went into the pond. I will assure you that. nothing has went into the pond. We started at the water's edge, for say, we went up, and then we just filled that area in behind it. That's all we did.
So maybe that's a question for Mr. Blanchett. I mean, I've got cross-section DD and cross-section CC. Which is it? Are we in the pond or aren't we?
Yes, so I'd like to speak to that for a sec. Again, from the survey data that we collected, at the worst point, it appears to me that the stone is about 2 to 3 feet over the property line into the lake. You know, when my surveyors were locating this, they were out in, I believe, November, December last year, and they try to estimate the high water mark. And again, it's not a perfect exact line. We do our best. We're probably within a foot of what another person would say is the high water mark, but we do our best to estimate that and call that the property line. And I think right now, you know, we're in a drought. The lake is a couple inches lower. And so if we start potentially at the existing edge of water, it's going to be over the high water mark a little bit. Now, the other thing I'd like to mention is if you look at the cross-section CC to the left, in this case, you'll see the property line is much further away from the stone retaining wall.
Right.
So there's about, I think it's roughly an even trade, actually. I think about half the wall was built and Mr. Bear lost property. I think another part of the wall, he gained a little bit of property. It's about an even swap. Again, if you kind of go up and look at the site plan. Oh, back. No, same sheet. Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Oh yeah, okay, here we go. We just
Yeah, and then if you look at a cross section CC, you can see the stone wall
yeah.
was built quite a bit inland of where we called the high water mark.
All right, so here's CC here,
Yep.
and your DD is somewhere else. Let's see. Here's DD there. So DD,
Right where you're,
CC. Yeah, here's one, and here's the other. Okay, let's see. All right, that makes sense. So Mr. Wall's comments, you know, here's where this, depending on where you are on the site, it appears that it is either in or on the line. So DD looks like it's intruding, and CC, it looks like it's inside it. I mean, is that what you're
Correct.
saying? Yeah.
Correct. Yep. And as soon as we got this data, I contacted the owner. I contacted Mr. Wall. I explained to them my suspicion. And I said, listen, so far it's been kind of an even swap. There's been no real net fill into the lake, but we need to be very careful. I recommend you pull it back a little bit. So I'm hoping that as I built the other portions of the wall, it will be pulled back to the high water mark.
Right.
Herbert Roach speaking.
George,
What
I have a-
happens if it's
Go
not?
ahead, Commissioner Roach.
What happens if it's not pulled back? I mean, when in looking at CC, that's the curvature of the wall that wasn't in the original plan. Back, George, up on the
Here?
right there.
Yeah,
The
okay.
CC on the left-hand side, that's the curvature. So I guess I can understand if Mr. Wall gave up some property
Yep.
because the wall's curving in. But if DD continues down the wall, and right now, right at the edge of the riprap, all along the edge, that's the property boundary. That's the lake edge. In George, a little bit more, right along the riprap.
Right here?
Right there.
Oh yeah, that's the actual
So by
boundary of the
looking
lake,
at
yeah.
the drawing, then the boulders, as they extend down next to the riprap, will exceed into the pond from that water's edge mark that's at the edge of the riprap now. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
If you take the boulders and continue those down to the right,
right,
down to the
yeah.
south, right at the edge of the riprap, that
here.
is right there. So if you continue down, which I think they're already done, because the wall looks like it's pretty well completed, That's, in looking at that, just common sense to me says it's going to go into the pond further.
So, Mr. Well, Mr. Blanchett, any comments on that?
I haven't seen it, I'm sorry.
This is Patrick Wall speaking. No boulders were placed into the water. Okay. Look at Mr. Haggard's
It's up here.
retaining wall. If you have a picture of that, his wall extends farther past our wall by, I don't know, probably 3 feet. If you go back to the last picture you had,
This one? Which one here? I'm on
go
40.
back 2 more. Not that one.
Hold on, I'm getting there. That's not that one. So we got that one.
Yeah.
It's the
Yep.
last one. Yeah.
Right there. If you zoom in on that, take a look at Mr. Haggard's
Up
wall.
here.
Yep. See where that bush is? That's where that
Yeah. It
it
doesn't move over.
runs straight right into where that little bush is. See that little I don't know, weed? Right.
Over here.
Yeah, right there. That's where the wall goes. So Mr. Haggard's wall is sticking out farther than our wall.
Okay, well,
But the lake doesn't have a straight line edge, I guess is.
It doesn't have a straight line edge, right? But I mean, how are you going to build a wall that looks like a snake?
oh,
You know?
Marla Butt speaking. I have a question for Mr. Wall.
Yeah.
Pat, when you started building the wall, did you cut back the bank by 3 feet to allow for the placement of the stone, so the stone would, the
Correct.
first layer of big stone, so you cut it back?
Correct.
Okay, looking at the picture that George has up now,
Yeah.
seeing the silt fence that I see, it doesn't look like that. It looks like you're
That
placing
area
a
there
stone
has-
right at the edge of the water.
All right. Well, that area there hasn't been cut back yet. Because I don't have the turbidity
Mhm.
curtain down the next section. I would only cut it back
Okay,
when I silt fence the top and I move the turbidity curtain and put the hay bales. Then I would
okay.
proceed cutting back. I do have some pictures. I could send them to Mark right now and he could possibly send them to you. I don't know how to send them, but you could see the whole layout of the whole thing, if that helps you guys
How much-
understand it.
Question, Marla Butt speaking. Are you completed with the placement of the stones towards the Hargers, towards the end of the southern end of the revetment, or are you still under construction?
The wall is 100% except for the steps. The steps are on order.
Okay.
I have to pick them up on Friday.
So my recommendation would be that at this point in time, that an as-built of the existing revetment be performed and submitted to the Wetlands Commission for its review and determination. Along with that, any modifications to the plans from what was originally approved should be also included as a proposal for that as-built.
Yep.
And this would have to be done and signed off by the engineer and or land surveyor. That would be my recommendation at this juncture. If the wall is completely done at this point in time, then it's appropriate to have, without the steps being in, appropriate to have an as-built drawing drawn in with the proposed changes identified on a separate sheet, showing the stairs, showing any changes in other retaining walls or any other grading changes that are proposed. That would be my recommendation.
Okay. One quick question for you, Marla. We need to start getting the foundation in the cold weather is going to be coming. Is any of this going to hold us up as long as we continue moving forward with taking the proper steps to getting you guys what you
The
need?
answer is yes, it is going to hold you up because there's a special condition on the permit that says that no other work can occur until the as-built drawing of the revetment is submitted to the commission for it's approval.
Okay.
So right now you have to have the as-built submitted,
All right.
and any other changes beyond that need to be proposed at this time.
Okay. So,
Because I'm not signing off on any building permits until that as-built is found acceptable to the commission.
all right, so we could have them come out sometime this week or next week, send it to you, and then you could sign off on it and we're all set to go.
I'm not signing off on it, the commission is.
So what's
You're a
that mean?
month.
You're gonna have to wait another month? Is there any way
That's a
to fast pace this? Because time's of the essence with concrete, you know?
The only option that the commission would have is to hold a special meeting
Can we,
to
can,
consider that.
Which is
is that
contingent.
possible?
And that's their decision.
You're gonna have to come up with the as-built first.
All right, when we
So it's
come up
on
with
you
the
at this
as-built,
point.
I'll contact Marla and we'll have to figure it out from then.
Yeah, there's a process here, and
I understand.
we already, put the boundaries on this have been moving, so it's been no small challenge.
Yeah, I know. It's been difficult.
Okay, commissioners, any further questions for Mr. Wall or Mr. Blanchett, or perhaps even Mr. Bear?
Barbara Roach speaking. I'm set, just looking forward to the as-built so we can determine where we go.
Okay. Other commissioners? All right, hearing none, therefore we're looking forward to receiving those as-built as outlined by in the wetlands agent. And once we have that, we'll have more information upon which to make a more informed decision. All right, I think this concludes this matter. Let's move on to the next. Thank you for that, those comments by everyone. Complicated. All right, with this one, let me go back to my sizing. All right, other business, scheduled meetings for calendar 2021. Do we have a schedule proposed?
Marla Buttspeak. Yes, on page 49 of the Zoom documents is the proposed schedule that I have drafted for the town clerk. The next page down, on page 50, I highlighted all of the, unfortunately, I didn't scan it quite right. I highlighted all of the, in yellow are the site walks and it's on page 50. All the site walks are in yellow and the meetings are in yellow and the holidays are in pink, so that you could know what you needed to modify. And at this juncture, there is no modifications required because it doesn't fall on any holidays. There isn't any holidays that I could identify. So it's always the second Tuesday of the month for the regular meeting, and the Saturday before it would be the site walk. And that's what I've drafted in the memo. And if you find it acceptable, you can move to accept this schedule, and I'll forward this memo on, finalize it and forward it to the town clerk.
All right, so we did receive this in advance. Any commissioners have any concerns or with the proposed calendar?
Nope, it's Commissioner Chapin. I propose that we move to accept it. Make a
A second.
motion that we move to accept it.
Do you have a second?
Barbara
Make a
Roach, I second.
Okay, I have a prior motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll go for a vote. Commissioners, please signify your acceptance or rejection of the proposed the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
By saying aye, aye as well. So the motion is carried. The scheduled meetings for calendar year 2021 is accepted and should be submitted to the appropriate body for posting to the calendar. Moving on to the next item, we have DOT notification on submittal of DEP permit application for rehabilitation of bridge number 06794 on I-395 over unnamed brook. Goodness. And here, I guess it is. Is this the
Marla
one here?
Butt speaking. There are Yes, there are in fact two crossings that are being modified. And one of them is over Little Mountain Brook and the other one is the unnamed brook. And unfortunately, the way DOT has submitted these to us is a little complicated, and the number of pages was exorbitant, too much for a Zoom meeting. I think probably what would be the most important thing is to take a look at page 54, which has a locust map
54, we have it.
for bridge, which is site number 1, which is the bridge over Little Mountain Brook.
This is just a
I'm gonna
macro
shrink
photo here.
that.
This what you want?
Yeah, shrink it down.
How's that?
Keep going.
I think you gotta get over to the
You
right,
should be able to
George.
see the whole
Oh,
sheet.
I'm sorry, over here. I'm in the wrong section.
You want to see, you might want to see the whole sheet on your screen.
All right, we've got it right
Right.
here.
Okay. So when you scroll down from that site 1, which is Little Mountain Brook, the next sheet down, which is on page 55, shows the work that they're planning on doing.
Oof.
Pretty complicated. They need to build roads down to the crossings. And I'm not quite sure how they're going to do the construction, but these plans are submitted to the Inland Wetlands Commission because the Inland Wetlands Commission could provide comment to the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. And it is something that had to go through the Army Corps of Engineers. Both of these bridges, site number 1 with Little Mountain Brook. If you look at page 56, there is actually a table of wetland impact table. It tells you how many square feet is being altered, temporary and permanent.
Okay, we have it.
Their
56.
Yeah, their applications are pretty complicated, and they submit these to us only in electronic form. There are no hard copies of this that have come in. This came in electronically. So, and they do show water handling plans, and they do show dewatering activities, erosion and sediment controls. It's pretty complicated. And the second bridge, site number 2 on the unnamed brook, is found on page 61. If you go to 61.
Okay.
That would be just north of Sunset Hill Road. That circle is just north of Sunset Hill Road, where Sunset Hill Road crosses over the highway. And then they show the details on that on page 62. Again, they have to construct access roads to get down to them. So it looks like what they're doing with these, they're not really bridges, they're culverts, and it looks like they're slip lining them.
Right.
Because it states that they're going to be installing what is they got there? Aluminum.
Aluminum, CMP, line inner corrugated, 62-inch aluminum, CMP.
Corrugated metal pipe. Yep. So that's how they're rehabilitating the cross culverts. You'll see this happening. Probably the Thompson Public Works Department has been looking at slip lining some culverts that they have that are in bad shape. It causes a slight decrease in the carrying capacity of the culvert, but sometimes because they change the surface from corrugated to smooth, can actually take up for that loss. In this case, it says that the inner is corrugated.
Right.
So that's a concrete, CMP should be a concrete or something, corrugated metal pipe. And
CMP.
so any case, it was, these are just being presented to you. If you choose to have any comments, if you forward your comments to me, I will make sure that they get transmitted on to the Department of Transportation and to the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection.
I do have a question, and maybe you know the answer, maybe we don't have the answer. How much will it cost to do this? Is that like millions of dollars? It looks like they're tunneling and just threading this needle again, or? just a
If the
minor-
state's involved, it's millions of dollars.
I'm sorry?
I said if the state's involved, it's millions of dollars.
Typically, work on interstate highways is 10% of state funds, 90% of federal dollars. So the state doesn't end up paying a lot,
Okay.
but that's the matching funds is 10-9, or at least it used to be.
All right.
The biggest cost on these is all the construction costs to get down to these culverts. Because when
Yeah.
the highways were built, they didn't think about what they needed to do for future maintenance of these structures. So they didn't provide for access roads going down for maintenance purposes. And so
Right.
now they have to build them now in order to get down into them.
Okay.
So,
Massive project here, multiple, many diagrams. Commissioners, any further questions or comments?
I think we should name the brook.
Yeah, we could nominate it, not put in nominations for the name, you know? The Marla Butts Memorial.
no, thank you.
All right, so no further action on this matter, if I understand correctly. If we have questions, we should direct them to you in writing.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
All right, commissioners, like we'll move on to the next item. If there's no further discussion. We get past all these diagrams. All right. The reports, budget and expenditures.
Budget, we have encumbered 119.54. We have an available budget of 18,000. Oh, my eyesight, 670.61, having used 27.6% of our budget, and this is Commissioner Chapin.
Thank you, Commissioner Chapin. Seems like we have more than adequate funds available for the remainder of the year, given our progress to date, but maybe I'm being too optimistic. Any questions for Commissioner Chapin? All right, do we need that's a report. We don't have to vote on this, do we? No.
Nope.
So in the wetlands agent report,
Okay, well, I will forward you a hard copy of this after the meeting, but I did not provide one to you in advance. On updates, there's been no change on the court appeal for River Junction Estates. That's the Star Road case. And there's been no change in the MS4 annual report or follow-up actions, and nothing on the pre-1990 file destruction plan, and I'm now running out of file space. So I've got to get onto that again. Regarding the public works salt storage issue and the Connecticut Water Company wells, Selectman St. Ange informed me that her office has hired an environmental consultant to review sodium chloride data relating to the Stout Brook area and to assess the potential for issues that the town can expect to have. I expect that any further involvement will not be happening except for any wetlands permitting that may arise due to any identified concerns. And that would be if the town ends up deciding that they need to build a new salt storage shed sooner rather than later. North Grosvenordale Pond Dam, the DEEP Dam Safety Program is working on getting the issues at the dam addressed through the property owner. I suggest that if you have any questions or inquiries regarding the status of North Grosvenordale Pond Dam, that they can be directed to either myself or to the First Selectman's office. Regarding follow-up actions, there's been no change on complaint 2005. That was the dumping of the pony manure off of Hiawatha Drive. I still need to inspect that with Carolyn Werge. And complaint 2010, which was the riprapping of the French River. I still haven't gotten any emergency operations protocol found from the Selectman's office, so I haven't closed that complaint. Complaint 2012, there was a report of earth moving work at 1267 Thompson Road. That's a couple houses up from Mr. Bear's property, possibly associated with a septic repair in the upland review area for Little Pond. I inspected the site on August 31st and again on November 28th. I did not find any evidence of a septic system failure or where it may have been repaired. I've closed the complaint and I've informed the complainant, who is the neighbor to the south, of the status, and they will notify the Northeast District Department of Health should they see a discharge in the future from that property. On complaint 2014, it was a report of pond cleaning at 295 Limehouse Road. That was the one that we talked about last month regarding LeBlanc. Today, I drafted a letter to Dan and Brenda Faford, the owners of 279 Limehouse Road, requesting their position regarding the conditions on their property following the earth moving work done by the LeBlancs, with a request to respond by December 1st. That was where the dredge spoils appear to have been placed on the neighboring property. And maybe even the pond is partly on their property. It's not quite clear. Complaint 2015, which involves 171 Thompson Hill Road. I got that's near the on Route 200, just behind the DOT salt storage facility and garage that they have there next to the interstate. The site was inspected on August 28th with Commissioner Aubert, and the complaint was one of debris and rubbish in the wetlands. While there was significant number of items strewn and stored about the property, creating an eyesore, there was no evidence of any wetland spilling with this debris and trash. A review of map geotopography and aerial photography reveals that there's been an increase in storage and disposal of trash along an old path that bisects the wetlands and watercourse areas sometime between 2016 and 2019. No additional material appears to have been deposited in this area in the past year. So I've closed that complaint file. And the health department was one of the entities that forwarded that to me. And because the town does not have a blight ordinance, it's nothing that they can, that I think that can be done about it, unless there's actually a health hazard. Complaint 20-17, 75 Lakeview Street. There was a report, and this is over by Little Pond. There was a report of digging of trenches with no erosion and sediment controls by a neighboring property owner. I inspected the site on October, I wrote it down as October 7th, but I think it was probably closer to the 28th. Anyways, I was there with Commissioner Aubert. There was some earthwork earthwork occurring on the north side of the home being remodeled at 75 Lakeview Street. A worker came out and stated that he had all the necessary approvals for the site work. This lot at this location is flat. It's high up off of the wetland system, and there was no evidence of an erosion or sedimentation problem. Upon returning to the office, I determined that under application ruling DEC 190001 that was issued for a use permitted as of right at this site to construct a deck off the rear of the house that was within the 100-foot upland review area. While there was no mention of any trenching on the side of the house, this earth moving work is questionably within, just barely within the 100-foot upland review area. Given given all this information, I've closed the complaint file because there's no environmental issue to pursue, or at least wetlands issue to pursue. Complaint 20-18, a report of excavation in the pond at 67 Mountain Hill Road. The site was inspected on October 28th with Commissioner Aubert. An excavator and disturbed soils were observed in a depression in the landscape. Based on the herbaceous vegetation that had grown in the depression, it was evident that there had been no ponding in the past growing season. There was evidence, there was no evidence of any stream flow entering the system, A soil and stone berm was observed on the east and south side of the depression with sizable trees growing on the berm, indicating the area had been subject to earth moving work historically. I spoke to the owner, Bruce Bonin, by phone, who reported that while water had ponded in the depression historically, in the past 2 years or so, it didn't hold any water. Site conditions do not contradict this statement. The vegetation that was growing in this depression had no indication of ever having been flooded. It was all herbaceous, though. It may be that several years ago, when the town resolved an obstruction of its drainage system that flowed under Mountain Hill Road through the property of 60 Mountain Hill Road and into 8 Moran Street, that the ponding of water at 67 Mountain Hill Road ceased. I'm going to investigate this a little further using more aerial photography from various sources and dates. It looks like this depression was actually created by gravel mining historically a long time ago. And then because the hole is below a long steep slope, it might have held water at some points in time. And then if the drainage at Mountain Hill Road got obstructed, it would have caused the water to stay ponded for a longer period of time. And now that the town doesn't have any obstruction in its drainage system, it just drains right through the embankment, the gravel embankment. And then finally, I did a post-permit inspection of Frog Rock LLC. That was a driveway to 36 Terrace Drive from Sunset Hill Road. It was a very long driveway. It was issued under permit IWA 15004. I inspected it on October 28th and found that the work in the wetlands and the watercourse and the upland review areas had been completed substantially in accordance with the plans. I think the only thing that was missing is the plans had called for some gravel to be put in the cross culverts. There were several sets of cross culverts on the road. They were like 36-inch diameter pipes, and there was no gravel put in them, but there was no evidence of any stream flow. I mean, it was all dry, and it looked like it had been all dry for a long time. I did 10 building permit reviews under miscellaneous. I got a request for a modification of wetlands agent approval, WAA 20035, Ken Weiss. He's at 1349 Thompson Road. He'd been granted recently an approval for a new home in an upland review area. And the modification was to move the location of the proposed well for the new home 70 feet south of the originally approved location. And I approved that on November 5th. The reason why the well was moved is because DOT expressed concerns that the well was too close to a storm drain outfall and it would cause potential problems with salt concentrations in the well, and they wanted the well to be relocated. And then the DEP approached me recently to review a scope of work for updating stormwater guidance that's given in the 2002 Connecticut Guidelines for Soil Erosion Sediment Control and the 2004 Stormwater Management Manual. They asked me this early in October, and I had a chance to take a look at their scope of work and gave them some advice on October 26th. Subsequent, this is the book that I had been, the Erosion Sediment Control Manual was the book that I had been the project manager for, and that's why they reached out to me. I don't, subsequent requests may be made for advice, but I don't expect to be involved with the work group that's going to be developed to steer the end product. They will probably hire a contractor like Fuss and O'Neill to draft up the revisions, and the work group will determine what's going to go in, what changes are going to go in. So they're going to try to update it for new technologies and for climate change that's occurring, so that they can include concerns about that. And then there was one thing besides legal notices that I paid for. I did charge $25 for a Z shield. That's a shield that sits on your neck, and it covers your face for COVID issues. In case I needed that for the office in case somebody came in, but I figured $25 wasn't much. Didn't think that you would object to having me having that protection in the office.
We want to keep you
And that's
safe. Anything else? That's it, huh? All
I
right,
try.
great. Okay, so commissioners, any questions for our inland wetlands agent? Okay, hearing none. Correspondence?
Yes. There was one piece of correspondence, and I didn't include all of it. We got the annual report from the Eastern Connecticut Conservation District. I did put in the cover letter for it, and they have, if you want to go read the annual report, you can do it at their website, and it's in that letter. It's found on page 73 of the Zoom documents. And they're looking for support. Usually the commission includes $1,000 to the Eastern Connecticut Conservation District to support their efforts. And that's just a notification for you. That's all I had for incoming correspondence.
Comments by commissioners?
Oh, there's no Mylars, by the way.
No Mylars, all right, tiny Mylars. Have we ever, I don't think we've had Mylars in the last 2 or 3 years.
Well,
even
you
have
will once Fogarty's comes through, you will have that for
All right.
signing. But George, I think probably what'll happen is I will just given COVID and everything, I'll just notify you and you'll come down and sign.
Fine. All right, no Mylars. Comments by commissioners? Any comments? All right, hearing no comments, do I have a motion for adjournment? Do
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a second?
I had to turn my mic on. I'll second.
Second. Okay, I have a motion made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No opposition. This commission, the meeting is adjourned. Thank everyone. The time is 8:53 PM.
Thanks,
you.
George.
Bye now.